there, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you have been here before. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel we talk about all things health, beauty, and anti-aging. And I'm really excited about today's video where I'm going to be sharing 7 anti-aging tips that I swear by in my 40s. So I'm 42 now. I've always really been interested in and passionate about health. You know, from a health perspective, just feeling good, managing weight, all of the things. But since I hit 40, I'm also starting to think a lot more about the sort of anti-aging or healthy aging aspect of it. How can I keep my skin as glowing and bright as possible and minimize fine lines? How can I stay hydrated? You know, things have really changed as far as what I'm finding I need to do to manage my weight. That was different than it was in my 30s and of course 20s, but even 30s. So just thinking about, you know, health from a whole entirely different perspective, which is this healthy aging / anti-aging perspective. Now, I do prefer the term healthy aging to anti-aging. Personally, I don't have a problem with aging. I think, you know, we're supposed to get old. It's the circle of life. It's what's supposed to happen. But I also don't have a problem with the term anti-aging. To me, it sort of means healthy aging. They're kind of interchangeable, but I know that some people really don't like the term anti-aging. So I'm super curious to hear from you. If you would just leave in the comments below, let me know which of those terms you prefer so I can use it for future content. If you prefer the healthy aging term, if that's what resonates more with you, or if you're fine with anti-aging and to you, you know, you're kind of like me and it just sort of means healthy aging. Now, these tips really run the gamut. I've got 7 tips for you, and some of them are about healthy lifestyle and weight management, metabolism, things like that. Some of them are about skincare and, you know, different skincare products. So be sure you stay until the very end so you don't miss a single one. All right, my first tip is all about prioritizing good sleep and good nightly sleep. And this is something you've heard me talk about before if you've watched any other videos on my channel. But I am fully convinced that being sleep deprived is such an ager. It's the #1 thing, in my opinion, that will age you the most. In fact, I've heard Jennifer Lopez say that she believes the same thing too. So I'm gonna go with whatever J-Lo is going with because she looks dang good. And I've heard her preaching about the importance of getting good nightly sleep. So yeah, I'm going with it. I always notice that I feel better and look better when I'm well rested. I can get by on 7.5 hours and I find that I feel pretty good on 7.5 hours, but if I can get 8, it's even better. Now, the secret to getting good nightly sleep is setting up and sticking to a consistent nighttime bedtime routine. That is crucial for good nightly sleep, and you cannot get good nightly sleep without a good bedtime routine. So if you haven't already, be sure and watch my How to Get a Good Night's Sleep video where I share my bedtime routine and share all of the tips around how I consistently get good nightly sleep. All right, tip number 2 is wearing daily sunscreen. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little bit new to the daily sunscreen on my face game. It's not something I've been doing up until earlier this year in 2022. I just recently started doing it. And the reason that I finally got on board is because I learned that 90% of aging of the skin is due to the sun. So I definitely do feel like I've got a couple of little dark spots on my face. I cover it up with concealer, but I've got one here and maybe a little bit over here, and then also just some fine lines that I believe are probably a lot of it is caused from sun damage. So this is the year that I really decided to take action and try to prevent that from happening anymore. Now, this is really interesting. I have heard multiple skincare professionals that I follow on different blogs and you know, follow their social media. I have heard them say that there is no reason to spend money on skincare, expensive or, you know, more budget friendly, but there's just no reason to spend money on it if you're not using a daily sunscreen, because that's the #1 thing you need to do to prevent, you know, more aging on the face. And that really hit home for me. Like, why would I spend money on all of this other skincare if it's really not gonna do any good because I'm not wearing a daily sunscreen? So that's when I decided to start giving it a try. I have tried a couple of different ones I was gonna show you. My favorite that came highly recommended from, I actually polled on my Instagram stories and asked everybody what their favorite brand was for facial sunscreen. And a lot of people said this one. It's Elta MD. See if I can get it in focus there. And the one that I use is for sensitive skin. It's the UV Clear Broad Spectrum SPF 46. It's got niacinamide, which is so protective of the skin. This is for skin types that are prone to acne, rosacea, and hyperpigmentation. So this is not something I've talked about yet on my YouTube channel. I've talked about it a little bit on Instagram, but I have suffered from perioral dermatitis in the past, which is dermatitis just around the mouth and nose. And I'm not currently broken out with perioral dermatitis right now. I cleared up a breakout that I had. It was during COVID, so probably around 2020 or so, that I finally got that cleared. It was a breakout that I was having that had lasted me like 3 years and I couldn't get it clear. So let me know if you'd like for me to do a video on how I cleared up my last bout with perioral dermatitis. But I try to be really careful about what I use on my skin. So I like to go for sensitive skin formulas when I can, and of course fragrance free. So I really love this one. It feels so good on the skin, and I think it does really well under makeup. The other one that I've used, and I do like it, it's the La Roche-Posay Anthelios Light Fluid Sunscreen. This is SPF 60. It's fragrance free, tested on sensitive skin, and you can get this one at Walgreens. I think I've maybe seen it at Target before as well. This one I ordered on Amazon on the Ulta MD Amazon page. So I'll link them both for you in the description below. But this one's a little bit more budget friendly, but this is my one that I've been using every day and I love it. All right, my next tip is about maintaining my weight now that I'm in my 40s. And I have to say it's been a little bit of a trial and error. Things are definitely different. So I did a little bit of research around kind of what happens once we turn 40, and of course so many different things change, but our bodies change so much too, and our metabolisms change so much. They're not as fast as they used to be. Remember those days when you could kind of eat whatever you wanted and then, you know, maybe watch it for a day or two and you could lose the weight? It's not really like that anymore, right? So this tip is all about increasing my strength training, which is just something I started to do maybe about 2 months ago. I really committed to increasing my strength training. I used to be the cardio queen. I really like cardio. I used to teach spin classes. I used to run. I love to power walk. I love all the cardio things. And cardio is great. I'm not saying that we don't need it, but cardio is not what builds muscle. Strength training, resistance training is what builds muscle. And how much muscle we have affects our metabolism, and here's why. The more muscle we have, the more calories we'll burn at rest. So the key is to put on more muscle, and then that way your metabolism stays strong and healthy even as you age. Therefore, strength training boosts metabolism. Now, strength training also builds bone density, which is really important for women, especially around age 40, because of bone loss that tends to happen as we age. So lots of reasons to include more strength training as we get older. I have gone from doing usually around 2 days of strength training a week up to 3 days of strength training a week. But I only do like 30 minutes per session. So I usually do my strength training sessions on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I like to do lower body for 30 minutes on Monday. I like to do upper body for 30 minutes on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I'll do a 30-minute full body strength training video. And if you haven't already, be sure to watch my weekly workout routine video where I share all of my favorite YouTube channels. I do all of my strength training workouts here at home, just using free weights, body weights, resistance bands, things like that. And I share my entire workout routine in that video as well. So I'm gonna link it here. Make sure you take a watch. Okay, my fourth anti-aging tip that I swear by is all about staying hydrated. I really believe that staying hydrated is another tip to looking my best now that I'm in my 40s. Really, no matter what age you are, I think it's a really important tip. I feel better, my skin looks better, everything looks more plumped. When I'm well hydrated, my mouth isn't dry, and that's not very chic to have a super dry mouth, right? And everything else just works better too, like digestion and daily elimination, and then just not being dry elsewhere in the body as well. So of course, plain water is one of the very best things you can do, to drink and stay hydrated. I really prefer room temperature or even warm water. I like hot teas and things like that. But I don't love cold water, and I always order it without ice. For me, that helps me to just drink it a little bit faster. I also like to drink water with one of those big, the really wide like flexi straws that you can get. I think they're silicone. I got mine on Amazon, but for some reason I tend to drink faster drinking through a straw. I don't think it's great for fine lines around the lips. But sometimes I do get bored of plain water, so I've got a couple of things that I like to add to my water. This is called Ultimate Replenisher. It's pink lemonade flavor, and I think I got this at Whole Foods. It's an electrolyte drink mix. But what I like about it is that it doesn't have any sugar, it doesn't have calories, and it's sweetened with a little bit of stevia. It's really light, it's not very sweet, so this is what I usually have been using on a daily basis. I really like that. Sometimes I'll also use Liquid IV, and I do love Liquid IV. I like just the plain one, and then I also like this one that has matcha powder, and green tea has its own health benefits as well, but for me, Liquid IV is a little bit sweet, and it is pretty high in sugar, which is another thing that I'm trying to watch a little bit more these days now that, you know, I'm in my 40s. So if I do want to drink a Liquid IV, I do think it's fantastic for hydration, though. I think it's got a lot of minerals that are great to help with hydration. But if I drink one of these, I'll usually mix it up, just half of a packet in like a 24-ounce bottle of water. So it's like half as concentrated as what it should be. Some other things to keep in mind for hydration are to remember to eat lots of fresh vegetables and fruits that have high water content. So things like leafy greens, cucumbers, tomatoes, different fruits like melon has such a high water content. All berries do. And then I'll also try to include some coconut water every now and again. Broth-based soups are really great for increasing the water content in your food. And I really try to be mindful to not overdo both caffeine and alcohol. Both of those are actually very dehydrating for the skin. So I'll do my morning cup of coffee. I do my pre-workout that has a little bit of green tea and black tea and white tea. And then I might do another cup of caffeinated tea later in the day. But I try to really just do water and herbal tea and using this electrolyte mix. And then of course my fruits and vegetables, and minimize my wine drinking, especially during the week. But I notice a huge difference in that one when I'm just reserving drinking wine for weekends only. It makes a big difference in how hydrated my skin is. And I can really tell a difference in the fine lines around my mouth. So if you want to know, like, you know, if you're trying to determine if you're dehydrated, just look at the fine lines around your mouth, look at the fine lines around your eyes, look at how dry maybe your eyes and your mouth are. All of these mucous membrane areas, if they feel dry, you probably are dehydrated. All right, my tip number 5 around healthy aging is that I follow a Mediterranean-ish diet. This includes lots of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, legumes, fish, and then lots of healthy fats like nuts and seeds, avocados, olive oil. And I think one of the biggest things about the Mediterranean-ish diet is that you prepare a lot of food yourself. So I mostly eat my food that I've made at home. I try not to eat out too much, and I think that that makes a huge difference. In thousands of published studies, the Mediterranean diet has proven again and again to be one of the best lifestyle strategies for extending longevity and avoiding common disorders of aging, including cancers, heart disease, obesity, etc. Now, I'm a big fan of this way of eating for healthy aging, and if you haven't already watched it, be sure and go watch my video, What I Eat in a Day on a Mediterranean-ish Diet, where I walk you through kind of what that looks like, the foods that I try to incorporate plenty of, and then the foods that I try not to eat as much of, and just what that Mediterranean-ish way of eating looks like. All right, tip number 6 that I swear by for anti-aging is I include protein of some sort at every single meal. Now, I could easily go vegetarian because I just don't really love meat. I could never be vegan because I love cheese and dairy too much. But this one goes back to the tip that I mentioned earlier about building muscle for a stronger metabolism. So our bodies need protein to build and maintain that lean muscle mass that we're working so hard to build with our strength training. So we want to make sure we're getting plenty of protein as well to complement that and help us build more muscle. So because I don't really love meat, I've had to get creative with my plant-based protein sources. And I do also utilize the protein found in dairy using some high-quality cheeses and then also yogurt. So for breakfast, I love to get protein from oats. I'll use rolled oats and make overnight oats. I love to use ground flaxseed, maybe a little bit of almond butter. I use collagen protein at breakfast in my coffee. I'll link my favorite one below in the description. Also yogurt, and then sometimes eggs or egg whites. Now at lunch and dinner, I've shared this with you before, my formula for healthy lunches and dinners, but I'll make sure I've got some protein plus vegetables plus some sort of fiber-filled carbohydrate. So that might come from eggs or egg whites, beans, tempeh, tofu, lentils, English peas, high quality cheeses, yogurt. I'll use canned tuna or salmon, or maybe do frozen fish at dinner. Whole grains, sprouted grain bread, like Ezekiel bread, nuts and seeds, and some fish and shrimp. All of these foods contain protein. Now, I don't get caught up in the numbers of how many grams of protein do you have in a day, how many grams do you have with each meal, how many grams do you have at breakfast, how many grams do you have at lunch and dinner. I don't get caught up in those numbers. I just make sure that I'm getting a good amount of protein at every single meal. Also, it's important to point out that it's better for your body to utilize the protein if you spread it out throughout the day. So rather than getting like a crazy amount for one meal and then getting very little the rest of the day, it's good to try to get a little bit with each meal so that it's spread out throughout the day and your body can utilize it. Okay, my last tip around healthy aging or anti-aging is that I've started to incorporate a retinoid into my nightly skincare routine. Now, this is something that I really wish I would have started doing in my 30s, but hey, better late than never, right? So apparently aging seems to kind of come on rather rapidly in your 40s due to a change in hormones and a loss of estrogen. And this is when we tend to notice an increase in dryness and a loss in elasticity and a sagging in our skin. So I did a lot of research around this, and about 2 months ago, I started to incorporate a retinol into my nightly skincare routine, which helps to enhance cellular turnover, which tends to slow as we age. And it helps to increase collagen and elasticity in the skin, which of course also more rapidly declines in our 40s. Retinoids and retinol are both derived from vitamin A, which means that they're both an antioxidant, but they do have different molecular structure. And they both provide similar anti-aging benefits, but just in different time frames. Retinoids are stronger than retinol. They have a higher concentration of the product. And the molecular structure of vitamin A in this form allows it to turn over our skin cells at a faster rate. Retinoids are FDA approved and they're only available by prescription, while retinol is available over the counter, which is the one that I've recently started using. And I can see some improvement in my skin since starting the retinol about 2 months ago, but I'm actually about to step it up and go to a prescription retinoid. I'm just waiting for it to get here, so I will keep you posted on that and how I like that product and the benefits that I notice from it. The one that I'm going to be trying is reasonably priced, I believe, and it's shipped right to you. So I'm going to try it for about a month or so before I get back with you and let you know about the results that I'm seeing. All right, if you got to the end of this video, again, please below comment and let me know which of the terms you prefer, healthy aging or anti-aging, just so I can keep that in mind as I go forward with creating new content. And if you want more tips around health, beauty, and anti-aging after age 40, I've created playlists of my content around all of these topics that go into way more detail than everything that I shared today, so I will post those below. And I hope you enjoyed these 7 top anti-aging tips that I swear by in my 40s. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye!